Promises by Michelle Simpson. Youngest member of the group stands. Her hair, once long and thick, is now a mass of unruly wires. She's skinny, and her rough skin shows months of neglect. My name is Rachel, she says. The people who are gathered in the circle reply, Hello, Rachel. I'm here because I'm addicted to cocaine. I want to stop, but I don't know how. The counselor prompts her, Rachel, why don't you tell us how it began? Rachel laughs under her breath. It's a long story. We all live here at the center. We've got all night, the counselor responds. Rachel thinks for a moment and says, He stole from me. That's how it started. We both had fifth period English 2 with Mrs. Washington. She was a good teacher, but she was pregnant, which meant she had to be gone for several weeks after the baby was born. Things got crazy while Mrs. Washington was out. People cussed at the substitutes, cheating on everything, telling their friends to come to our class and hang out. We had like 10 different subs. After a while, I just stopped paying attention and started doing whatever. I was sitting at my desk with my body turned to the side so I could text my best friend Alicia. I was so busy texting that I didn't see Mrs. Hall, the current substitute, walk up behind me until it was too late. I'll take that, she said as she held out her hand. I snapped the phone shut and shoved it deep into my purse. I begged, Please, miss. She shifted her weight to one side, stared at me directly, and said, Give me the phone. You can pick it up after school in the office. For $15, I protested. So, you already know the rule, she said sarcastically. I reached into my purse, pulled out the phone, and placed it into her hand. Then I crossed my arms, put them on my desk, and buried my head. I didn't have $15 to get my phone from the office, and I knew my dad would fuss like crazy if I told him why I needed the money. My only option was to think of a good lie. When the bell rang, I bolted out the door and down the hallway toward the cafeteria for lunch. I met up with Alicia and we stood in the pizza line. After telling her about my cell phone fiasco, we both concluded that teachers, especially substitutes, are mean and unreasonable. Alicia said she'd email me a fake $15 field trip permission slip. She had a template saved on her computer, so my dad would give me the money when he signed it. You're so smart, it's scary, I said. I use my powers for good sometimes, she defended herself. Suddenly, I felt a poke in my side. I looked over my shoulder and saw a familiar face from Mrs. Washington's class. It was one of the troublemakers I avoided. Hey, he said, smiling. His skin was almost the same color as Alicia's, a natural tan. His hair was short except for the top, which was longer and frozen in place by a pound of gel. Still, there was a nice little curl to his hair. For the first time, I realized that this guy was cute. I finally responded, Hey, I've got something that belongs to you, he sing-songed. A smile crept over my face. What? Ta-da, he said as my cell phone appeared before my eyes. Oh my gosh, how'd you get this? I asked, taking my beloved phone from him and staring at Alicia in disbelief. Got it from the teacher's desk, he said. You're crazy, Alicia laughed. He bobbed his head. I'll take that as a compliment. What's your name? I asked. Isaac. Thanks, Isaac, for stealing my phone back. That's the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me, I flirted. He looked at me with his deep brown eyes, and I felt my stomach flutter like a million butterflies had taken flight. I'd like to do more nice things for you. You got plans tonight? That was the lamest, cheesiest line I ever heard. Thank goodness he was acting goofy on purpose. Alicia elbowed me. I couldn't help it. I cracked up laughing. I'm sorry. I said, I don't even know you. You could be an axe murderer. So could you, he said, but I'm willing to risk my life for you. Three is definitely a crowd, Alicia said under her breath. I'll see you later. That was the beginning of Isaac and me. We spent a lot of time together that weekend at the mall and at the movies. Everywhere we went, people knew Isaac. We spent some time at his house, too. He lived in one of those two-story houses you see advertised on highway billboards. The kind of house I could have if I got a scholarship. My dad wasn't anywhere near being able to pay for college. It seemed unfair in a way that all through elementary and middle school, he told me if I kept my grades up, I could be anything I wanted to be. But when I started high school, he told me to be realistic and look at smaller colleges. Some of them didn't even have programs in the field I wanted to study. Being in Isaac's house made me think of all the things I would probably never have. In a way, it was depressing. The weird thing about Isaac's was the way his parents just kind of left him alone. We walked through the front door, and I saw his dad in the office and his mom in the kitchen. They didn't really speak to us. We walked right in, went upstairs to his bedroom, and Isaac locked the door behind us. Your parents are okay with this? I asked, my heart beating wildly. With what? With me being in your room. He shrugged. They don't care. I plopped down on the foot of Isaac's bed and checked out his room. He had posters of various musical artists all over the walls. Rock bands, rappers, singers. Dang, my dad would so not even let you pass the front door. Why? Because I'm not white? Isaac laughed at his own joke. No, I said, my best friend Alicia is Mexican-American and mom was Puerto Rican. Isaac smirked. Did she change colors? No, I said was because she died in a car accident when I was 7. Those darn cars, Isaac said. I know it's crazy, but I laughed. Usually, when I tell people my mom died in a car accident, they get all sentimental and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It's silly. Why do they apologize for something that had nothing to do with them? Not Isaac. He blamed it on the cars, which made a whole lot more sense than some stupid apology. I was really feeling Isaac. I could hardly wait for fifth period on Monday so I could see Isaac again. We texted each other in first and second periods, but I hadn't seen him all day. As I approached the classroom, I noticed Mrs. Washington standing outside the door. I rushed to join the crowd of girls, telling Mrs. Washington how much we'd missed her and inquiring about her baby. When I finally entered the classroom, I noticed Isaac sleeping. I spent the whole period looking at him and wondering why he wasn't excited to see me and what he'd done between second period and fifth period to make him so tired. When the bell rang, I went over to him and tried to wake him up so he wouldn't be late for his next class. Two other guys, Demarion and Travis, helped me. Man, Demarion laughed as he watched Isaac rise to his feet. This fool is hiding in the mud. Isaac warned us, "Shh, don't let the teacher hear you." I don't think Isaac even saw me. He walked out of class like he didn't know I existed. Confused and angry, I left too. Mrs. Washington stopped me at the door. "Rachel?" "Yes." "Something happened with your cell phone Friday. The sub left a note saying she took it, but it wasn't there." "Oh," I said, looking down at the tile floor. "It's okay. Don't worry about it." Uh-huh. Mrs. Washington seemed to be evaluating my story. I made the mistake of looking into her eyes. When I was little, my mom would say, "You might as well tell the truth because I'll know if you're lying, mija." The way Mrs. Washington peered into me, I knew I couldn't lie to her either. "I see you've made a new friend," she commented. I gave a blank stare. "Isaac Garcia, is he your new friend?" "Maybe." Mrs. Washington raised one eyebrow. "Be careful, Rachel." I walked to the cafeteria wondering what Mrs. Washington meant. Alicia cleared it all up. I was barely past the entrance when she grabbed me. "OMG, Rachel. I was talking to this girl in my third period class, and she told me about some guy who almost got caught smoking weed in the gym. She said his name was Isaac. Isn't that the guy who stole your phone back?" I didn't want Alicia to freak out any more than she already was, so I just replied, "Yeah, his name is Isaac too." There can't be that many Isaacs. "I don't know," I dismissed her claim. "Don't you want to find out?" I looked toward the serving lines. "What I want is salad." "Wait a minute," Alicia put one hand on my shoulder and forced eye contact. "Did he hurt you? Did he ask you to do drugs? Are you pregnant?" I jerked my shoulder away from her. "Give me a break." "Rachel, you spent all weekend with him, but you don't want to talk about him? What's up?" Alicia probed. "Look, get your own man so you don't have to worry about me and mine, okay?" I turned my back so I wouldn't have to face her. Alicia and I had been friends since junior high, but sometimes when she tried to act like my mother, she really irritated me. My mother was dead, and I didn't want anyone, not Alicia, not Mrs. Washington, trying to fit my mother's shoes. Why is everybody making me mad today? I thought. Part 1.